This video is about the citizens. Who gives these citizens a premonition when they're sleeping in bed and when they're awake? So David Booth here was a 23-year-old office manager in Cincinnati, right? And each day, David Booth would receive these dreams, but it's about airplane. Every time he goes to sleep, he sees an airplane doving out in the air and going down. So the question here is, how would David Booth know exactly, or who is giving David Booth these premonition when he's sleeping? So based on what I learned from this situation is that someone knows that David Booth is an office manager. So it says here, for 10 nights in a row in 1979, he had the same nightmare. David Booth received these terrifying premonition when he's sleeping in bed that picks up after it left off each and every single day. And there were several people who were supposed to be on that plane and several people who wasn't supposed to be on that plane got off and got on. So there was a lady, or you could say an actress, who had a stomach ache while she was on the airport. And she couldn't get on the airplane because she had a stomach ache. So she went back home. It was a celebrity. And the reason for that is because she didn't meet the criteria of going on that airplane at that exact time, right? And when you talk about flight 100, or you can say 191, there's people who talk about Final Destination, right? They use this movie called Final Destination, and they say, "Oh, this is like Final Destination," you know. And when you talk about an airplane from 2009 that was supposed to be heading, a airplane from Brazil that was going to France, and there was people who didn't actually got on the airplane, and they had to take on the next airplane to end up getting killed while driving. There's something definitely wrong. Someone is organizing these situations. And the only person who knows that David Booth is an office manager and David Booth is going to sleep is someone who's evaluating David Booth. They know where he works. They know he works at Cincinnati. They know the time of the airplane going to rise up to the sky. They know the exact people who's going to be on that airplane. And this is one of the reasons why I said there's a selection process. There's a selection process that designs these time and events for these people to get on the airplane. It says here, on each occasion, he saw a plane rearing off a runway before flipping over and bursting into flames. And you can see this picture here of it, the airplane going vertical and then crashing down. Then, when you think about another premonition, there was Abraham Lincoln, the president of the United States, who had reoccurring dreams. This is a president who had a diary next to him in his bed, on his bed, pretty much next to him. And each time he received these dreams about his, about a coffin and seeing his body, and then there's a guard next to his corpse on a casket that is explaining to him that this particular person, got assassinated, and there's a real murderer behind the killer. The killer who actually killed Abraham Lincoln wasn't the actual killer. So this is my investigation. This is not only my investigation, this is my knowledge, right? I have knowledge about who exactly is doing this. I have knowledge about the technology. I have knowledge about what this place is. And I have the knowledge to explain it to people. But the actual person out there is going to make sure that people wouldn't be able to interpret the language, to see it as unclear, not articulate, because the information actually carries the truth to the situation. I'm actually giving context to people, right? I'm talking about real context, not fake context. Real context that makes people understood the message of what's happening at that time within that event. And there's people who made comments about this person. So David Booth decided to tell the FAA about these dreams, but didn't expect to be taken seriously, of course. Of course, FAA wouldn't take them seriously because they never learned about what dreams are. But they did took the idea into consideration, and they actually told David Booth what type of airplane this is. Now they have concluded that it was either a DC-10 or a Boeing 727. Booth had also told American Airlines, and while the company and the FAA took what he said on board, there was nothing else they could do because there was no exact date or details in his dreams. They didn't suspend the operation that allowed this operation to happen because they wasn't educated with these concepts. The education doesn't talk about multi-agent quantum AI computers. They don't talk about airplanes in elementary school or middle school or high school, how the mechanics works. They don't talk about airplane crashing, period. They don't cover all that information. They don't cover information, period. Booth had his last nightmare on the night of May 24th. Little did he know that the disaster was right around the corner. When the news broke about the crash, Booth was in front of his television, unable to believe his eyes. Booth was investigated several times during the investigation. While he wasn't a suspect, the authorities were intrigued as to how he could have known what was about to happen. And there's also a criteria of who to actually show these time and events to, right? That there's a supercomputer, rather than a supercomputer, a program in a supercomputer that uses a bio machine, or you can say a computational intelligence system that has a copy of how to design these time and events, right? When you go on a sleep, there's actually a program that's showing you how it's gonna govern the citizens, right? It shows you how it places people in situations and how it allow these situations to occur all at once at you. But this is what I've endured since I was a kid. And yes, I've actually endured all these behaviors and communication from people and dreams, all these type of stuff over and over and over and over every day, even as we speak, nonstop. And also words in my dreams telling me to stop writing online or stop talking to people, and also not receiving any and not receiving, rather than saying receiving, I don't have any people, or you can say social support from people who can actually give me money. Like I said, this place is being self-governed by a machine.